Speak of the devil and he appears. It's the Comic Lyric Podcast, back for the Halloween special or something or other. Whatever we call it. Do we call it Halloween special or would you say it's the end of spooky season?
I mean, we haven't done before, but we can this year.
Nah, I don't,
the Halloween
I don't like change.
special.
I don't like change.
Oh, fuck off.
I don't like the change. And anyway, welcome back, listeners. I'm Ryan, also known as Comic Stan. Love comic books. He doesn't. I make him read them. And this week I've made him read The Lucky Devils, which is the end of the spooky season. And with me, as always, is my aforementioned delightfully devilish co-host. It's Jamie.
Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Yes, you got the reference. Good. Thank God. So this is a anticipated read on my part, less on yours because I've kind of been hinting it to you, but you didn't know fully what we were getting into. Yeah. But this is the first spiritual sequel that I think we've done on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's written by the same people that wrote 8 Million Genies, isn't it?
8 billion.
8 billion.
If it was only 8 million, it's like, that's the ultimate wealth disparity. It's like, well, 1 million people have genies and no one else has, which this actually gets into somewhat.
It really gets into it.
We will be addressing that.
I think if you were to have told me that this was written by somebody who had written a comic book that we liked and not told me which one, I would have guessed 8 Billion Genies.
Yeah, it's one thing when it's the same writer. The fact that it's the same writer and artist and they are doing a very similar concept.
Yeah.
I think you would have got it like immediately. Like it just, even I have a low opinion of you, but I think even you would have got it.
Bit fucking harsh.
Midway I was saying, I was like, how is he going to respond to this?
I've been poorly this week and I dragged myself out of here to record a nice little podcast with you and you do that.
But you also might have infected me, so I'm holding out whether I'm mad at you or not, depending on
definitely
afterwards.
Going to now, aren't I?
You're going to lick even more door handles than usual.
I'm going to lick everything on my way out.
Well, it's a good thing I called you delightfully devilish, although I don't know if I call it that devilish. Anyway, the Lucky Devils, the first 5 issues, I don't know how, I assume there's 7 issues because it's like Time with Sins or whatever, or maybe there's 9.
It's each of the issues is one of the circles of hell, so it's 7.
Okay.
There's 7 circles of hell.
I think also there might be 2 more, like, because there's a bit how they might be doing more in the story or whatever, so maybe that'll come into it or something. Also, 8 Billion Genies is 8, but that was like 1 for every billion, I guess, or something. There might be more. Anyway, we're doing the first 5 issues is the main point I'm getting across here. And also, it was written by, who we mentioned earlier, Charles Soule and Ryan Browne. And did you see what so in the spirit of JT4, James Tynion IV,
yeah,
his publishing company being called Tiny Onion, because that's how everyone mispronounces his name, myself included.
Right.
Do you know what they've called their publishing company?
No, but I'm sure you're about to tell me.
It's called Silent E.
Oh, nice.
Because they both have silent E's at the end of their name.
Yeah,
so I just thought that was a fun little thing. Anyway, main point, The Lucky Devils. General thoughts, how did you find it?
Comic of the year, mate.
Comic of the year. Fantastic.
Straight in there. It's going to be Comic of the year.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought I had a lot to compare to with 8 Billion Genies, and that is kind of most of what I've got to say about it. It's almost kind of in comparison, but I really enjoyed it as it was happening. I thought it was immensely engaging and loved the artwork, which I guess, should we just jump starting with the arting? Should we get straight into that?
Yeah, much like the art. I mean, again, I'm reluctant. I know, and I know that's the angle that you've come in with here. I'm really reluctant to spend too much time comparing this to 8 Million Genies because I think
8 billion.
It's 8 billion.
I do that every time.
Yeah, we should have a little
bing, a little ding, yeah.
And then at the end, can you ADR yourself in with a count of how many times I got it wrong through the pod while you've been editing and counting them up?
The listeners of this podcast are an intelligent bunch, and they must be because they have impeccable taste in podcasts. I think they can count the number of things themselves.
Okay.
Also, 5 stars. Leave us 5 stars.
I'm reluctant to compare this to 8 Billion Genies because it's so good in its own right. And even though they are similar in scale, they're both small stories that we see play out on a grander scale. I think this is excellent in its own right. What you asked me about was artwork.
Yeah.
Which is really, really very good.
Yeah, fantastic. It feels like its own style, like it's very unique. Although it's that kind of art style I feel like I've seen before, but I can't name any places. But it's very unique for comic books in general.
I mean, it looks like comic book art, but it's been done really well. Everything is kind of in its place, has a place. Yeah, I can't place what I like so much about it, but I find it overwhelmingly to be very well drawn.
Yeah. A lot of it is just generally with comics where it's like, it's a standard style for the most of the panels. And then when we get to the big stuff, we do big stuff, right?
Yeah.
And this does that, but it also does it for smaller things. Like, for example, there's a scene where someone does a little card trick thing, find the ace, the three cards and all that. And it's just like immensely detailed for like how they make the fast hands moving and everything.
Yeah.
But just example of they will just go all in on a really beautiful, detailed bit of art for like a seemingly innocuous panel.
Yes.
Which I enjoy, like I appreciate. But then they have some big stuff where there's some big landscapes that we see where fantastical stuff is happening. And again, not to harp on about it, but I will be several times in this episode, a lot like 8 Billion Genies, where big fantastical landscapes where you're kind of looking at all the stuff that's happening in the background.
Yes.
So it's that. What's the thing we always say with like the highest honor? I would get some of these panels as artwork for my wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have 4 protagonists, really, because we have our 2 human protagonists and our 2 devil protagonists.
Yeah. Should we say we're getting into the story now?
No. I'm still on the art.
Okay,
You just need to trust me.
I don't know. I'll go on.
Fuck you,
I'll
dude.
go on then.
Fuck you. I've had a long week. I particularly like the way that Rake and Collar, the 2 devil protagonists, are drawn.
Yes.
I think panel to panel, they look incredible.
I think there's something to be said for not just the devils themselves, but we see glimpses of hell where they live. How vibrant and fantastically engaging that part looks compared to the human world, which is a bit grayish, a bit muted. I think that's like a very intentional thing of like the humans just going about their boring lives, and then the devils turn up. Like I think it's intentional.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. The thing I enjoy most about the devils, though, is that there's some really, really great visual storytelling that happens in their design, and so the whole film. The whole comic book is really about the corporate world and corporate structures and how they impact humanity. And so when we meet Rake and Collar, they are at the bottom end of the corporate structure. Where we read up to in the 5th issue, they're kind of middle executives now. And the change in their character models and the way that they're dressed throughout that change is really great visual storytelling. Like, Rake and Collar look notably different towards the end than they do at the start. You don't and it's done so subtly that you wouldn't necessarily notice it.
Yeah.
But at the start, they're in jumpsuits, and then they're in suits, and she's in bikinis, and everything kind of shifts and alters.
To be fair, we do see a similar thing happen with the human characters as well. And then exactly as you say, very subtle, like almost subconsciously telling you stuff with the visual storytelling without it being overtly like characters not like, hey, look at my new suit. Like there's none of that. It's just like implicit.
Yeah.
And if you notice it, you're kind of rewarded with engaging. That's the best kind of art style is when you pay more attention, you're rewarded for it.
Yes.
And then it makes you engage further with it.
And this is detail rich.
Oh,
it's very rich in details.
Did you see the 8 Billion Genie like references?
I saw some.
Yeah.
I
probably didn't see all either, but I saw enough to be like, that's cool.
Yeah, I noticed a few. And again, it's one of those things that this is one of those comic books where I got to the end of issue 5 and it was a bit of a rush, like work commitments, life commitments, getting it read in time to get here and talk to you about it. But I remember finishing issue 5 and being like, oh, that's kind of annoying. Like, I wish I could just go to it.
Yeah.
I wish I had issue 6 and 7 because I was thoroughly enjoying it. And I was enjoying the story, but I was enjoying the art more, I think.
Yeah, I think I was really enjoying the art, but the story I have more to say about. So whether that means I enjoyed it more or not, we'll see. But I think I've got more to say on it.
Should we start talking about the story?
Well,
then?
So I've got something to propose with the story. Very, very loose structure here. A lot of what I've got to say is about the entirety of the issue 1 to 5.
How would you know that Ryan wants structure? I never would have guessed.
How would you know Jamie doesn't want structure?
No, I'm cool. I'm cool with structure. If anything, I think there have been moments in more recent episodes where you've wanted to deviate from the structure, and I'm like, no.
True.
We have structure for a reason.
I think, if anything, this is a structured, less structure of that. Like, let me tell you what I mean rather than talking around it, right? So the problem with talking about the story for me is I do need to talk about the entire 5 issues because it's information from all of it that I want to talk about, right?
Agree.
So what I will say is, if you're listening to this, our recommendation up top if you haven't read it and you're interested at all, you should absolutely go out and read it.
Yes.
Because we're going to talk about all the 5 issues. And again, if somehow you still end up listening to us talk about it and then decide to read it, there are more issues after this.
And there's a whole bunch of nuance that we won't get to.
Yes.
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of depth here. To be honest with you, this is a comic book where actually we're approaching it in this way because we would struggle to do it justice if we were more granular with it. So this is one that's so big we're having to approach it in this way where we're just talking about all of it all at once. But that is because there's so much going on we wouldn't get to everything. And so we are never going to be able to thoroughly spoil this comic book for you. There's so much richness here.
And there's and I've just confirmed there are going to be 9 issues of it.
9 issues.
So
is
there'll
it the
be
9 circles of hell then?
I think it is, yeah. Now that I barely know about it, now you've said 9 circles of hell. I think that is how it works.
Do you know the worst thing, Ryan?
The worst circle is for traitors, isn't it? Or betrayals. That's the only thing I know about it.
I've read Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, but you can't be expected.
I've literally read Dante's. I didn't read it in Italian, admittedly.
There was 2 chapters that were like 2 circles, but they were like stuck together. So you just skipped them by accident without realizing. It's like, bloody hell, these 7 circles.
I mean, I was a university student at the time, so that tells you everything you need to know about where I was at in my life and how much I'm likely to retain. I think it might be the 9 circles of hell.
I think it's the 9 circles. So there are 4 more issues after what we're talking about.
We're just past halfway through.
Yes. So
the things I liked.
Sure.
Or should I
go ahead? Because I'm going to be talking for a while. So like, give us your things you like, things you didn't like.
Well, so my recap of the story. Let's start there.
So that is what I'm going to be talking about. So give us your recap first, and I'll kind of say what I'm thinking about.
Oh no, recap. Go recap.
So this is the problem. It's not a problem with it. It's that. It's one thing I noticed. And again, you said about not comparing it to 8 Billion Genies, but I think the comparison here is very apt because in comparing it to, it kind of articulates better how I felt about this one, right?
Right.
The thing about this is, so in comparison to 8 Billion Genies, what's good about 8 Billion Genies, and for anyone who hasn't read it, go read it. This is that's also a really good comic. It's our comic of the year, I think, whenever year it came out.
First year.
Yeah. So thing about 8 Billion Genies, the premise is everyone on Earth suddenly gets a genie and they get one wish, right? And then it's just everything happens afterwards from there. The only extra bit of information, because someone would be like, why did that happen? Spoilers for 8 Billion Genies, blah, blah, blah. It's a very minor spoiler. It reveals that the reason that is the universe's way of controlling the population of the Earth, where once it hits 8 billion, everyone having their genies causes such chaos that it basically reduces the population down enough to restart over, basically, right? It's like an extinction level event, but then humanity comes back afterwards, right? That's all you need to know about 8 billion.
Once the last wish has been wished, essentially.
Yes, exactly. So with this, the reason I'm comparing it to is I'm really enjoying the story, but a lot of the story is continually explaining the premise. Do you know what I mean? So the premise is like this. I finished the 5 issues and then I went back and reread the first one to understand what I had missed in the premise setup, the world building.
Yes.
Even though I was fully on board and understanding the story. Do you know what I mean? But then the premise of the story are so interlinked that you could be confused by some aspects of the story if you don't know the reason why for the premise, right?
Yes.
So the premise is there are.
You're very excited.
Yeah, because I think I'm trying to articulate.
You're very heightened.
But wait, it's a complex story.
Yes,
it is a complex story, and that's again comparing to 8 Billion Genies. That was a very simple place to start off with, and then the complexity came in the resulting actions and consequences after that one initial thing.
Yeah,
this feels like
because you could York note this and say. There are devils that speak in people's shoulders.
Yeah.
They speak in the shoulders of roughly 1 in every 10 people or 1 in every 100 people.
I think there was only like 1 million people in the world that had them. Like it was a really low.
Well, it was 8. No, it's. Yeah. So for every billion people, there was 1 million devils.
Yeah.
So it's a factor of 1 in 100.
Okay. So yeah.
So 1 in 100 people have these devils talking in their shoulder. They're not supposed to present themselves to humans. These 2 devils have, for some reason, presented themselves to 2 humans.
Yeah, and that's
ultimately kind of the premise that we start with, and then the richness and much, and I understand where you're coming from. We gradually through the 5 issues start to understand more and more of why they're doing that and what's actually at stake here and what's at play here.
Yeah. Because the thing with fantasy or any kind of complex thing is character motivations are inherently reliant on the rules of the world.
Yes.
And that doesn't even necessarily mean like magic world versus unmagic world, but even if you've got like a political thriller, like understanding how that all works, it determines characters' motivation. So that's why it's so necessary to understand the world, to understand the motivations. Because to put it bluntly, and I will try and talk about it later just for chronologically, there's a bit later, a big reveal that happens in the 5th issue. I had to go back to be like, why is that important? And again, still really enjoyed the story. I didn't feel like I didn't know what was going on, but it got to a point when I was like, something I didn't realize was as significant as it should be turned out to be really significant. So I will mention that again later because I've got it in my notes, but to give you an example. So
yes.
The premise is, you've said the basic premise, right? The hook to get a reader in.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens, right? But you know me, I like my dry world building, understanding why everything is happening the way it's happening, right?
Yes.
So that's why I go back. So in this world, there are devils in hell. Apparently there's no heaven. Take it with a pinch of salt because the devil tells us that. So, we'll see.
And there's nods to there being a heaven as well.
Yes. So these devils, they get assigned a human at birth.
Yeah.
And they have 2 objectives, which is to influence that person to be basically as bad as possible, do as many bad things.
But they only have one of the deadly sins to work with.
Yes, if they're on the bottom rung.
Which they all start on the bottom rung.
Yes. And then if that person grows in influence, so their evil deeds affect more people, their devil gets promoted and gets use of more sins to use on their person.
But they also just climb the corporate ladder. And I think that was my favourite. That's the thing I found the most interesting about this, is that the devil's progression wasn't based on how evil a deed they could get a human to do, but upon how many people their human had influence over.
Yeah, the ripple effect of their evil.
It meant that a devil's job was not only to encourage them towards sin, but to also help them in becoming as successful as they could be.
Yes. Well, but here's the thing, because I had to double check this, right? They can use sins or the sins to make their person progress with evil, right? So the biggest example is if you have greed, the greed for money or things, then you can use that to encourage someone to get a job in finance because they're pursuing money. And then inherently, by being a greedy person in the world of finance, they are naturally going to affect more people with their greedy ways. And that's how it grows and stuff, right?
And we get that as an example, don't we?
But I think that's a very clean example as well, which is obviously the reason why they've given it, right? The confusion becomes, so these devils have decided that it turns out there is a wealth disparity, or what do you call it? An unfair society in hell, right?
For these, is there?
Yeah. For these
massive surprise that hell has to be honest with you, I would argue that the society that we have in hell is maybe even more fair than the society that we have in our actual world right now. It is a more fair meritocracy with a structure that really actually does support people in rising to where they should rise to.
But there's the thing. These devils feel that their world is unfair because they've been assigned
good
humans
people
who are inherently so good that with their one sin, they still can't get them to be bad, right?
Yeah.
And to also clarify, what does it mean by using a sin, right? They're not just making the person angry or envious, but they are creating scenarios like a kind of Final Destination, like a little nudge here and something there to encourage the person to be angry or jealous or what have you, right? So they can only do things to incite the sin they've been assigned in the person, right? And again, they meant to make them more successful, but they can't overtly just cheat for them.
Yeah.
Now the devil's like, you guys are so good, we've given up on trying to tempt you the normal ways, right? So we're just coming out and presenting ourselves to you, saying, hi, we're the devil, we're your devil, here's all, the rules and what have you. We're going to now explicitly help you to get a better life so you become more influential, and we will get promoted as well, right?
Yeah.
So in that stance, like, fair enough. Then the confusion for me comes when it's like, but they're inherently good people getting promoted and getting more influence are spreading good, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's the problem, because that's going to be the conflict. But no, because the devils are like, also, we hate hell and the system within hell that unfairly treated us. So we're kind of doing a man-made climate change thing on hell, because the good acts being done by their people in more influential positions is causing like earthquakes and eruptions in hell.
Yeah, so there's this myth that they talk about a lot of this king who was a real despot. But once he got into power, actually it turned out that really he was only using wrath to get there. And when he got there, he, really enhanced the civil liberties of his people and did a bunch of good works.
He changed his ways for some reason, all of a sudden.
And so they realized that when one of theirs did that much good, it had an inverse effect on hell.
Yeah.
And so there's that aspect of it. And that to me is it's necessary for the premise, because it brings in this kind of Bonnie and Clyde situation to, what's his name? Rake and...
Collar. He's
so,
Collar and she's Rake. I think.
So it brings in this Bonnie and Clyde sort of dynamic to Collar and Rake, and it gives us an indication as to why they've taken such drastic measures. Because one of the other things that's kind of hinted towards, or not hinted towards, is explicitly stated, is that in hell they are immortal, and if they do something wrong, they get tortured.
Yes.
Infinitely.
Also, they are meant to be immortal, but then at some point during it, a devil gets killed. So
Rake shoots somebody in the head. We don't necessarily see him die, and nobody seems to care.
I thought he got pushed out. So there's a lift that goes from hell to the human world, but it passes like all other worlds in between.
Because Collar kills someone, doesn't he?
Yeah, one of which is the Genie's world. The Genie's just hanging out.
Yeah.
But then they stop, and there's a world, might be the 8 Billion Genies world, where there's a flying tiger that like kills one of the devils or whatever.
Yes.
But again, just to not give too much away about that in the story, it's a death of a devil when we're told they're immortal.
Well, no, Collar kills somebody, and then that detective who's sent to chase down the rogue devil who's doing all of this, their family gets killed.
Yeah, vaporized.
So they're not truly immortal, because we see some of them die.
But they can't, so I think, so they can live forever. They're not immune to death or injury, but they don't die of natural causes or old. They don't die of old age. That's the main thing.
Worst, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, imagine, like, the fact that we are mortal, right?
is pretty good.
Well, I don't know. Through my life, I've fluctuated on whether or not I think it's a good thing. There have been points in my life where I've really, really resented my mortality, and there have been other times in life where I've kind of come to understand how important it is. But imagine, so it's bad enough that we have to die, right? And it's bad enough that those we love around us have to die.
Spoiler alert for life, if anyone was was concerned about that.
But imagine how fucking sucky it would be the moment you were realised you were about to get your card punched if the other option was immortality. Because at least, like, as a human, you ride your bike the wrong way down a dual carriageway and you see that truck coming, you're like, well, I'm probably going to die now and that sucks, but it was going to happen someday anyway, right? But if everyone else gets to be immortal and you're like, fuck, I fell off a lift and now a tiger's eating me, that getting your card punched in a world where other people get to be immortal would be the fucking worst.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If it feels like, because that's the thing, if we didn't have old age death, but you could still be injured or killed or murdered, whatever, everyone would be way more careful. Because then it's like, you get one chance to stay alive forever, and you only have to fuck up once. Like, whereas right now, it's you get one chance to maybe live to like 80 or something.
Well, you get to carry on being alive for however long you get to carry on being alive for, right? Yeah, no, I think that's I hadn't clocked that. I hadn't really considered that, because I'll be honest with you, I I hadn't become quite as fixated as you on the world building, because that's your thing.
I have an inherent need to just understand everything.
Yeah.
If I'm consuming a text, I need to understand why things are happening, why they are, because otherwise it doesn't. Who cares then? You know.
So this comic made me have a really sort of
existential crisis.
No, because I've had my. I mean, I've been.
I have
having
those daily.
Yeah, I've been having an existential. No, I had an existential crisis like 7 months ago because I got some pretty big news. I had some big news.
Yes.
And so I've sort of already had my existential crisis for the year.
You think you're done? I bet you're not.
No, fucking A, right? I've got 3.5 weeks left. This comic really made me consider how I'm spending my life.
Yeah.
Genuinely, it made me sit down, and there were points where I was reading this comic where I wondered if the way I spend 9 hours of my day or 8 hours of my day every day is really serving me, paying my mortgage. And I think this is what, there's a fun irony, that, of course, that is somebody who got to be a writer and somebody who got to be an artist who get to make whatever they want to make have this scathing a critique of capitalism. Capitalism has touched you two pretty fucking lightly.
I mean, it gets everyone to a certain degree, doesn't it?
Well, no, I don't. And this is the thing. I suppose to a certain degree it does. But then there's also this element of the people that it doesn't get, it still gets them, but it gets them in a very different way that I would choose every time.
Yeah, but then the problem becomes, it's then if you're someone who has suffered under capitalism and you complain about it, people just go, well, life hasn't gone your way and you're just bitter about it. If you're successful from capitalism and then you complain about it, people are like, why you got to complain about it? Like, you've done well off it. So It's that trap of like, no one gets to complain about capitalism when actually everyone should be able to.
But I think
equally.
This is less, and I know this is going to sound like a really slim distinction, but this is less a comment on capitalism for me and more a comment on corporate culture.
Yeah, I mean, again,
because you've done corporate, I've done corporate. I mean, I'm doing corporate right now.
One of the issues has that. What's that? That go-getter hyping up corporate MLM speech, right? The guy's like, you guys are all down my line, so if you do well, I do well, and I want you to get out there and, that all bullshit, which is very appropriate for Hell. I also thought it was very funny that one of the issues turns out something else that is very popular in Hell is Def Jam poetry, which totally understood, did not need to be told twice about that. But what the problem here is it's these devils have been essentially assigned a human that is the worst human to get, right? So that's the equivalent of being almost in a roundabout way, it's being born the wrong place and time, right? Or to the wrong family or whatever, right? But short of that, the society of Hell is kind of getting along pretty well in terms of, I mean, it's like the mundanity of capitalism. Like, as soon as I thought it was really well done, like how they told the story. The actual storytelling, I think, is fantastic across the entire comic, right?
Absolutely.
It's the bit where after Collar and Ray show themselves, it shows Collar kind of going through this doorway of fire, being like, anyway, I'll come back and we'll start this whole improving your life thing, and I'll see you then, goes through, and then just is walking through an office, and then gets to bus stop and waits for the bus, and then gets on the bus and then gets home. So it's like, it's really fun, that kind of like fantastical, like demon going through a doorway of fire. It's like waiting for the bus, getting on the bus. Like, I thought how they did that was really fun.
It's that bit in Peep Show, isn't it? Where he's like, you eat the food, you shit the food,
then you die. I know the bit.
The drudgery is endless.
Yes. But the world seems to be going all right. And then almost what happens is, I think it's really difficult to take away like an actual meaning or message from this. It delves in areas because so Rake and Collar start cheating the system for their own gain, right?
And they start doing very well out of it.
But at the same time, this is why I was trying to understand the rules, right? Because their people are doing more good and have higher influence, are still very good people, that causes earthquakes and ruptures in Hell.
Yeah.
And Hell's like, something's going on and we don't know what it is. Like, we have a good guess, but we don't know who's doing it, kind of thing. Anyway, there's these two devils that are rising through the ranks, but don't worry about that, or, ignore that for the meantime. But so Rake and Collar, and again, this might be stuff that's addressed in the last 4 issues, right?
Yeah.
So I could be complaining about a story that's midway through, right? But right now, it's confusing to be like, we are improving our own state. Essentially, they're cheating the system. They are like, they're people who are, like cheating or like white collar criminal stuff, right? They're putting themselves forward, but it's actively destroying the world around them, apparently. Yeah. But it's hard to tell whether their beliefs are like, sometimes they're like, we'll get a bigger paycheck on this next rung of the ladder, but also fuck the system and we're going to destroy it. And it's what do you want?
What becomes very apparent is that when Collar met Rake, she kind of put him onto those ideas. They hatched this plan together, but as we get into issue 5, Collar is still very keen on it and Rake isn't.
Yeah.
And they, Collar confronts Rake about why she's not that interested in going ahead with the plan to ruin hell anymore. And he was like, these were always your values. This is what you always believed. And she went, yeah, I was poor.
Yes. Yeah. It's like you were saying.
And this is the thing, isn't it? To borrow a line from Hamilton.
You a Hamilton quote? No way.
You can't put out the fire from inside the house, right? Like, it was very easy for them to want to dismantle this system when it wasn't working for them. But Rake has a nice house now. She gets to hang around all day in her bikini, sunbathing on her balcony. Suddenly, the idea of destroying everything that's around her is way less appealing. And so there's that level of complexity, isn't there? Yes. Where actually, I kind of... There was a clear vision from both of them at the start.
Yeah.
And they were like, we knew that we'd get a bigger house and, a better quality of living while we're doing this is nice. But we get to a certain point with Rake where she isn't interested, or at least it doesn't seem like she's interested in going ahead with it anymore.
I think it's
because she now does have that good quality of life.
And she's balancing that her quality of life has improved and the world of hell is kind of ending. So it's like she's got to the point where seeing all this destruction, because they're seeing just eruptions and stuff in the street from their now, Malibu house or whatever. But they're like, well, we've got it pretty good and we've made things worse for everyone else kind of out there. Should we stop now? And then Collar seems to be one who's be like, no, we're going to destroy the whole system. And yeah, so that makes more sense. They've pointed that part out again, to be fair.
I mean, it's also... they are in like at the point we find them in, at the point we leave them in, in issue 5, they are in a very vulnerable position whereby they have risen to the ranks very, very quickly, but a brief investigation from somebody senior would indicate that neither of their people are doing any particular bad. Although I suppose one of the things that's really interesting is that issue 5, it really starts to delve into power and the way it corrupts. And so we see both of these characters who have universally tried to only do good things, both do something a bit shitty. And so Collar's human, we've not even talked about the humans in their stories yet, but
yeah,
Collar's human blows off an old friend and kind of is a bit shitty towards him. And then Rake's human essentially sets an ultimatum in an important meeting that the person above her who gave her most recent promotion, they are now offering to promote her up to his level. And she's basically said, look, I'll do it, but only if you fire this guy. And earlier on, he had told her that she would need to fire a bunch of people to have a job that she'd been offered. And she was like, well, what will you do with these people's jobs? And he said, don't worry, they'll find something else. They'll bounce back.
Yeah.
And so he privately calls her and he's like, look, I'll do whatever you need to do. I'll support you. I'll make these budget cuts I said you'd need to make to get this new job. Can we just rethink the ultimatum you gave them? And she was like, no, you'll bounce back.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's badass, but it's also kind of
yeah.
And so we're in a position now where actually these two might end up, I think, if you want my prediction, I think that actually power is going to corrupt these two human characters. And ultimately, they're going to start doing bad things, and it's going to redress the balance. And this is going to be a story about the futility of resistance against capitalism. That's what I think this story is gearing towards. And I think that would be an interesting way for it to go. I don't think speculation is particularly useful or interesting, so I'm going to leave that there.
No,
that's where I see this story going.
I think you're right in the direction. I think the ending is up for grabs, depending on which way they want to go with it.
And these guys like a twist ending, don't they?
Yes, but I don't know
that they like a twist ending, because the ending of 8 Billion Genies isn't a twist ending. but they like a big reveal in the 9th hour.
Yes, and they just like to go a different route or take unexpected routes. And I think there's, like I said, one of my biggest compliments to this is I don't know what's going to happen next. You can see a route going, but I also feel like these people who create this, they create routes and then go, actually, we're turning off here. Like, or we'll go, something else has happened. Like, but I think I'm really excited to see where it goes. I like with the human characters, like they've put a lot in them to make them like, wouldn't you believe the people we're following here? One is a philosophy teacher, so talk about the philosophy of morality
and good about nurse.
And the other one's a nurse. But then also the little things like the nurse is from a religious family.
Yeah.
So she's far more willing to take on the idea of a devil immediately, right? Yes. And she is actually like, I believe you are a devil, but I'm not going to listen to you. But then more of an understanding of the devil being like, no, I want to help you do good stuff because we have a system that we're trying to destroy and you will help.
Well, she doesn't tell her why, but she gives her an assurance.
Yeah, she's more like, I just want to make your life better.
Specifically, she rips off a piece of her skin.
Yes, cool part.
Which the human can then make into a ring so that she knows when the devil is there because the devil can go invisible.
Yeah.
Whereas
also just believing that that's how it works, though. Like, it's still a little bit of like, but I got them to make me a ring of their skin, and that's how I was like, but you're believing that that's how it works.
Yeah. And then Cam kind of refuses to interface with his devil. So it's not until like issue 5, maybe 3 years in.
They converse, but Cam doesn't believe he's real.
Yeah. When I say he refuses to interface with it, I mean, he refuses to believe that the devil is real and just thinks he's going mad.
But then Collar says, but that actually works in Collar's favor because everything that he tells the human believes is his own subconscious.
Cameron is his name.
So when he's like, hey, you should try doing this, Cam's like, well, that's me telling me that, so I should
definitely do it.
I do believe me.
But, trust me, I'm a good guy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it is fascinating how these characters go about. I mean, there's a scene which I don't know if it's unintentionally hilarious or just hilarious, but the bit where the inspector is going like, oh, you've made it to the devils, like you've made it to this level. That does include a surprise inspection. And Cole's like, oh, I didn't know we were getting an inspection. The guy's like, well, surprise inspection, that's why.
Yeah.
And then he's like, they go on the elevator. And again, complete like diversion of these two devil characters, which I guess is part of the story now. But Rake goes to Cam, not her human, Collar's human, and it's like, hey, the surprise inspection's happening. We just need you to be evil for like 1 second, like just be really evil just for like a moment, and then you could go back to normal, but we just need this from you. Collar then offs the devil on the way to the elevator anyway. But I love Cam's like, I need to be really evil for a short second. What do? I'm gonna launch a battery with my eyes closed into the street. And later he's talking about it like, it's funnier because it is actually sad. Like, it's like, I could have really hustled. I could have killed someone with that. But the image of him just eyes closed, like, into the street.
And we don't find out about it until much later.
Yeah.
Like, it's a couple of issues thereafter that we find out about it when he sat down talking with Car.
Yes, I think so.
Car?
The woman?
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I forget her name as well.
Star with 2 R's.
Yes. We don't find out about it until he's sat having a conversation with Star, and he finds out that Are you counting?
So on one of the pages I'm just seeing here, I think we do have the circles. So we have limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, treachery. So those are the 9 circles of hell.
I love that fraud is right up there.
Yeah, apparently. So violence is one thing, but lying to people, like,
oh god, yeah, you can't believe you committed fraud.
I feel like these 9 circles might have been put together in the same way that a lot of religions were fashioned to be like, this is how we guide the people to like, these are the worst things you could do, which is treachery and fraud, and the lust and gluttony. It's like, we don't care about that. Like, we don't, like 2 circles most.
If anything, you guys fucking makes more peasants to work for us, and gluttony is just more food you need to buy from us.
Yeah, exactly.
So lust and gluttony are definitely sins that you should not engage in. Would you like more bread, sir?
But God help you if you lie in your tax form.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the second worst.
Fraud, though, you hide a penny from me, you.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing worse than that is treason, which is just fraud on a higher level, like a higher stakes level, really, when you think about it.
treason is just fraud that affects the king, right?
Yes, exactly. Shame on you, Dante. You thought you were free from mockery from the Comic Lyra podcast. You got another thing coming just because you wrote the Dante's Inferno or whatever. Is that what it's called?
Dante's Inferno. I don't know that it was written by Dante, though.
I don't know. I just assumed.
No, you're right.
Really?
It's Inferno by Dante.
And people just call it Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. It's like calling J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
It is.
It's like no one calls it that.
Or J.K. Rowling's Transphobia.
That's not that book. That's the other series. She did a series under another name. It's like really transphobic. It's like, it's that J.K. Rowling. It's like, oh shit. Like, back when she was ashamed of it or whatever.
R. Kelly's noncery.
Yeah, that'll do. George Orwell's 1984. People just call it 1984. It's not a funny one. It's a true one though.
Give me Savile's Health Service.
But that actually takes me to an interesting point.
What, Jimmy Savile?
Yes. He is inherently interesting by being a very evil person.
Yeah, I suppose he is.
But what it reminds me of...
He must have had one hell of a devil on his shoulder.
If he even had a devil. That's one thing I did think about watching. It's like, you just imagine... Because at one point, they literally talk to the reader and say, the most evil people. Bet you're thinking of some right now. I thought, in this world, there was someone who's really fucking evil. And a human speaks to the devil, be like, bloody hell, who's that person's devil? Or whatever. And they're like, oh, he doesn't have one. You'd be like, oh, Jesus. Like,
he's a fucking prodigy, man. Yeah. We're thinking about hiring him.
We can't just assign devils to people like that to birth. We don't know. That guy was just really evil and we were in awe of him. Yeah. We're fans. We don't work with him.
We all want him.
Yeah. We wish he'd got him a birth. But what I noticed in the writing of this is the balance that they have struck between referencing really dark, evil stuff without it, while also still keeping a relatively light-hearted story, right? And I think there are a couple of prime examples, which I noticed.
Nice.
But there's one where Rake goes to see the big MLM devil, the guy who's like, I can help you guys, whatever. And she basically fucks him for like, to use lust, which is a fun little metaphor and irony in itself.
She fucks him to use lust, and she uses it in the best possible way.
Yes.
There's somebody who works in the hospital that Star really doesn't like, who just got a job that would be a good promotion for Star. And so Rake uses lust to make her fuck a patient.
But the best part about that is from the way it's seen, you can't see the patient's face, but you can see his hand. He's doing the devil's eye. He's doing the rock and roll.
He's got an IV in, and it's so funny. And he looks proper gnarled for his legs and his arms, doesn't he? He looks really poorly.
I mean, he's in hospital.
He's in hospital,
fair dues. But in that scene where Rake's talking to the business guy, the capitalist guy, as soon as she walks in, he's like, they know each other.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Rake, do you want a drink? She's like, not, like, don't try that with me or whatever. And he's like, nah, you are too smart. And it's like, you're just joking about date rape there. Like, literally.
Yes.
But then, initially I was like, is that a bit too far? But then I was like, these are meant to be the devils, like the most evil creatures, right? And I noticed it then going along later. They subtly reference really dark, evil shit without bringing it forward.
Yes.
And I think that is genuinely the best thing you can do in this scenario. Because then again, you get that thing of like, are they evil? Like, it's like, our characters in this fiction are really evil, but they would never do these horrible things that would make readers uncomfortable, you know? But then it's like, well, how evil are they? So I think they've struck a good balance by subtly referencing these things without fully going into them.
Yes, I think so.
There is also a part later where they have a meeting of like the top devils. And that another funny thing during this, the names of the characters, right?
Yeah.
So not the human names are normal, except there's one interviewer interviewing Gam whose name is Lisa Starfish.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are the names so fucking weird in this? Because the devils all have weird names, but it's like, that's just what they're called. But in the humans, I thought Starfish is a weird surname for a character.
For a human.
In this. So we get a meeting of these like the top 7, and there's going to be another top 9. No, it's 8. There are 8 top ones, right? And their names are the subtle references that I was talking about, right?
Right.
Because their names are, I mean, the first one, Eugenics Talk, who looks like a guy who is really into eugenics, right? Shrapnel Stump, not so bad. That's a Crash Bandicoot baddie, if anything. Needle Crash, a little bit. Like needles can be a bit touchy subject. Hysteria Byline, like this, like a newspaper
Yeah.
reference, like lube libido.
libido.
That could be real bad.
Yeah.
Mercury spill, which I'm not too sure whether. Catheter splint, which just sounds like an old person, but catheter in general is like a bad thing to reference.
I can't think of a worse place to have a splinter.
Then a catheter, yes.
That would hurt.
Yeah. And then wrench fortune. So they're obviously having a bit of fun with the names, but sometimes they go a bit weird. But then we get the kind of bounty hunter character who they basically hire, and their name is Sandpaper Pinch.
Yeah.
That, you know what these names sound like? Sounds like Bob Mortimer wrote this comic.
It's funny that you say that because I'm currently reading his new novel.
Yeah. His name's always like, oh, you know, like Postman Pete and
yeah, absolutely,
and Gerard Tuans. Like, it's all names like that.
Have you seen? I really love his train guy Instagram post.
You've probably mentioned it on the podcast several times, I think. Which is not to say I obviously do that as well. But
got
I'm
a cup
saying,
of choo-choo, baby.
Yes. But the bounty hunter character I thought was especially interesting because she gets kind of introduced like late, issue 3, issue 4, and these big heads or whatever, like, we think that the king thing is happening again where someone's getting influence and they're being good and that's blowing up the hell or whatever. And she's like, I'll track them down for you. A very cool design. She's blue for some reason. One of her arms is like fire. And so very cool design. You're like badass kind of looking one.
And she has a really lovely polyamorous home life with a bunch of kids.
She goes from, I will find and kill these people for you. Don't you worry. It's like, and then like, are you even, what level are you? She's like, I'm not even on a scale of levels. And you're like, whoa, a devil that's not even, that's crazy. And then as soon as she goes from that to, and you think like badass bounty hunter's going to fuck up the two main characters. Yeah. She goes from that to going home. She's like, guys, you'll never guess what happened at work. I've got this huge job. Like, it was a really fun little tonal twist.
But that is how everyone is at home. You know, like everyone's just a normal person who goes home to their fucking whoever it is they live with and go, oh my God, shit happened today.
But then also it's funny, you expect this devil to be like, oh, they're going to relish like hunting down people, like basically giving an excuse to like hunt people down and do harm to them. She's like, I've got this job, right? All I have to do is pretend I'm looking for some people and they'll pay me money. So it's the fraud aspect. Yeah. It's like the violence is one thing, but she's like scamming the worst devils of this universe to just get free money. And at one point, one of her polyamory couple is like, do you think maybe she'd like pretend to look for them or so? She's like, nah, don't worry about it. And then she only gets invested because the home gets blown up in one of these eruptions or whatever. And then again, they're immortal until they get vaporized by a eruption of some kind. So I do find it interesting her kind of course of being like one way, then the other way, and then so it's interesting characterization for everything going on. But yeah, short of that, I think as much as we can get into these 5 issues, because again, like you said before, there's so much little stuff that we can't even touch on.
We've barely talked about what's happening in the human stories. Like, the arcs that we talk about for the devils, the humans have their own arcs. Like, Cam and Star have their own big arcs.
You know what I think this is a credit to? Like, what we've done in reviewing it, it's a credit to the art. Because the humans' world does seem a bit more mundane and boring compared to the devil's world, which is like bright colors and like crazy stuff happening. So I think we've intuitively remembered more of the devil storyline than we have the human storyline.
We're fixed on that. But the thing that's worth noting is that we've talked ad nauseum for about an hour about this comic book, and we've only talked about 2 of the 4 main characters. So there's a whole half of this story that you would be essentially reading fresh, even if you started reading it having listened to this episode.
And there's so much still to show in this.
So much still to show, and there's 4 issues left.
So many little details that we've not touched on, like in some of the pages in the human world, there's borders like a comic, and there's devil stuff happening around the borders. Yeah. And you're like, is that important? Like, what's happening there? Or is that just like fun? Like, well, we'll put some devils on this page. So there's so much little stuff to get into as well.
It's so cool. I think this is a contender for Comic of the Year, mate.
100%. I mean, again, we're kind of losing like the last month and a half of the year, but I think even compared to the previous 10 months we've already experienced with reading, trying to stay up to date with some things, this is like one of the top ones. I
mean, of much.
You know how it goes. We get to the end of the year, we do the wrap up, and we're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was really good. Like,
yeah, we have that conversation, don't we?
There's going to be.
It's interesting though how two things from spooky season, which are both things we're revisiting from previous years, have ended up being like insanely good.
Yeah.
This and the Under the Trees sequel.
Beneath the Trees.
Which
was an actual sequel.
Which we've not finished yet, have we?
No, but that won't finish for another couple of months.
But well, this is going to be another half a year.
We could do an episode where it's like a spooky season retro or returned or whatever.
We could do a spooky season retrospective next summer.
Yeah,
where we talk about these two titles finishing.
Yes, and we could judge like which one finished the best and
Yeah, but no, I mean this has been a real treat. This has been a real treat for kind of, you know, me winding down with the podcast for a little while.
Yeah,
because that is happening.
Yeah, a few more weeks.
God, a few more weeks, Ryan.
And boy, have I got a surprise for you next week.
Why? What's happening?
By which I mean you will hate what we're doing next week.
Oh, well, do I have to?
No, because that's the fun.
I'm a busy boy. I've got a lot going on.
But there's less reading involved, so that's how I get you with it.
Because you're as busy as me next week.
Yes, but I will sacrifice my time to get your thoughts on what we're doing next week. Put it that way. But yeah, so. The only other thing to address is we did put out a very important question last week, which we have had some responses to.
Did we?
So for anyone who didn't listen to, or if you've just forgotten, last week we were covering the Invisible Man, and we asked, very importantly, if you were in a room and you suspected an invisible man was in the room with you.
I remember this.
How would you determine?
Was that me? Was it me that asked that question?
It was both. It's a co-effort. But how would you determine if there was an invisible man
in the room
with you?
Comments?
So we got some comments back.
Awesome.
The first one is from Lance Arietta. Is that the best pronunciation?
Lance Arietta, yeah.
Sorry if I've mispronounced it, but I am naively British. So, and you knew that going into this podcast. We don't hide our Britishness at all. They said, I'll swing a broomstick back and forth to find an invisible person.
Great.
And fair enough. I think your moveability, like, depending on how big the room is, if you start in one corner and the invisible man's in the other corner,
if you've got enough
they
space.
might just kind of follow the space where you were in, so that might not necessarily be effective. Right. If you're in a small room, very good.
Yeah, if you're in a bathroom, right, scroll down, I'll read the next one. And the next one is from one Michael Blackwood, and they said, to find an invisible person in a room, I would walk in wildly swinging a belt around my head. So they've gone for the
Reminds
same
me of Dad.
Oh, you had that one chambered, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just thought.
So I think the thing is, they've both gone for the same tact.
Yeah. Before I saw belt, I thought I was imagining the walking while, windmilling both of your arms thing.
Yeah.
Which, like if I walk into you and I hit you, it's your fault. Would you just say to the invisible man?
But a belt makes more sense than a broomstick, because a belt would interact a bit more.
But a broomstick's got more length, so it covers a more
Depends on how fat you are.
Well, the broom.
Well, no, the belt.
Yeah, true. But then if you're
bigger
fat,
people wear bigger belts, Ryan.
But if you're a bigger person, you might not be able to get as bigger,
Yeah, so what you need
the cardio alone in swinging a belt.
What you need is a skinny guy with a really fat friend, and they borrow their belt. Did we get any more anywhere else?
No, those were the two main ones. So.
Those were the two best ones.
But again, if you're listening to this now, or like with a lot of our episodes, some of them get new life later on for reasons that I have completely algorithmically mysterious to me.
Tell you what, we'll just start doing this. Will just be a thing.
Who do we think has the most powerful devil in the world? Because that's not who's the most evil. It's who's the most evil with most influence.
That's a much better one. Yeah. Right, cut mine out. mine is gone now.
So I'll cut yours out, but I'll leave you in telling me to cut it out.
Yeah. Because it was bad.
Yes.
Yours is good.
Right.
So who do you think has the most influential devil?
Yes.
Which living human has the most powerful devil?
So it's a human that is the most evil, but with the most influence.
I think that's great. I think that's banging.
And you can't say us because
I'm looking at our listener stats. We don't have that much influence.
We're not there yet. Is all we're saying. We're not there yet.
Put your answers on a postcard.
Yeah. Write them into the Comic Literate podcast. Write into comicliterate@gmail.com and give us or leave them on the Spotify comments area, because it's one of the few podcast catchers that actually has a place where you can leave comments. And so do them there. I think Apple might have them. I don't know. Apple's a weird platform for podcasts for us for some reason, so I'm not too sure. But we did also get a couple other comments. One was a nice one, which I won't read out, but it was one from Corey Brown 7164. So thank you for your very nice comment. Glad you're enjoying it. And we did get a response from Leon Goopy, because I did ask them to, I did say, hey, instead of just, giving us compliments, like, tell us what you're looking at stuff. And they did. So just a couple of mentions of what Leon is reading or consuming right now. It's the old Amazing Spider-Man Masterworks by Stan Lee, which apparently is peak era Goofy, so maybe something worth us checking out at some point. Playing Donkey Kong Country. Haven't played a Donkey Kong game, unfortunately, but I've heard they're very fun. Silent Hill F, the latest horror game that's come out, it's a real scary one because the main character is a Japanese schoolgirl. So the real monsters are the developers.
Yeah, absolutely. That says a lot, doesn't it?
But apparently it's a really good horror game. And a manga, which I cannot pronounce the name of. Gachakuta, I think, yeah. But apparently that is really good as well. So when we eventually do our manga episode, which we keep putting off, but one day we'll get around to doing, maybe it'll be the one we do.
I mean, we've done a bunch of manga.
We have, but we also keep saying we'll do some more and then we put it off. It's because we have a guest we might bring on for it. We keep delaying.
We keep delaying that.
But one day we will do a manga episode, maybe. But thank you for your input, Leon. And I think that is pretty much everything we've got. So unless you want to tell the people anything else?
No.
You don't want to tell them what your sin is?
Lust, obviously.
In fact, that's the best answer for right now, yes.
Yeah, the mess I've gotten myself into.
I mean, you've changed from gluttony to lust, so that's an improvement.
Fucking it. It's way more fun.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say mine's definitely sloth. Was it sloth? Sloth, yeah.
I don't know.
I would much rather be doing absolutely nothing than maybe pride, yeah. Prideful person.
Yeah.
Very stubborn.
Yeah. Either pride or sloth, I think. Yeah.
If I'm not...
And mine is... come to think of it, mine is definitely gluttony or lust. Like, if there are two things that have got me in trouble in my life more than anything else, it is gluttony and lust.
So maybe if you've got...
wrath.
Wrath. Wrath is angry sleep. Wrath and sloth.
I feel like wrath is pronounced wrath in English.
I've only ever known it as wrath. So
feel my wrath.
Feel my wrath.
All right, sunshine.
Anyway, that's enough sinful talk right now. And what a way to end the spooky season with the Halloween episode.
Great.
It's been a good one.
It's been a good spooky season.
We've somewhat tanked our algorithm a little bit by not doing, the most popular comics, but it's a yearly tradition,
Have we actually?
Well, when we do like Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, like they
Quick,
naturally
do more
get
Batman. Batman. We've talked about Batman. We can put him in the title now. It's fine.
And he has a story called The Long Halloween, and we could have done that.
Why didn't we do Halloween Batman?
Maybe next year.
Jesus Christ.
Next year we'll try and remember.
The algorithm. Think of the algorithm, Ryan.
Oh, don't worry. Next week's episode will repair the algorithm. Don't you worry.
Is it SEO friendly?
It's algorithm friendly.
That's so funny.
It's very SEO friendly.
Ryan has gotten out of a month of doing stuff that's creatively fulfilling, and he's like, "Do you know what I really have a hard on for?
I want some superhero schlop.
I want some fucking search engine optimization right now."
And boy, are we doing that next week.
Cool. I'm fucking ready for it.
All right. Tune us back and see how episode Jamie is next week.
Bye.
And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe to get notified of our future episodes as well. And if you're feeling particularly generous, then please leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you're using. If you'd like to get in contact with us, then send an email to comiclit@gmail.com. You can also watch videos by me on the Comic Stand YouTube page, which is linked in the description. Thank you, goodbye.